Hello. Hi. Welcome to the video. Today we're going to be talking about how to make them want you. That is our topic for today's Law of Attraction Live. And welcome to those of you who are already in here. As you come in, please go ahead and like the video. Feel free to say hi and drop your manifesting questions into the chat because as I'm going through, I'm going to stop and answer questions from viewers on manifesting and the law of attraction. Also, if you're on YouTube, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know. Oh, I can hear myself. Hold on a second. If you can hear me, let me know. All right. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, CZ, for letting me know. And good morning, Carlton. Thank you to Vibe Conscious for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hello on Instagram. Eniko Bartos. Hello, how are you? Yeah, say hi as you come in. Let me know that you're here. All right. So, again, today we're going to be talking about how to make them want you. Now, the obvious use for the information in today's live is for attracting romantic attention. However, this advice can really be used for any kind of relationship building. So, if you want to attract people in, so whether it's a romantic partner or friendships, maybe a business partner, maybe you want someone to employ you, but you want someone to want you. Doesn't matter what kind of a relationship it is. The information in today's live is going to be tremendously helpful. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with our first little piece of advice here. And that piece of advice is a disclaimer. A disclaimer. And so, this is really the most important thing to start off with, which is knowing that, if sometimes people have a hang up about attracting other people. And there's a big concern that if you're trying to attract someone's attention, or if you're trying to draw somebody into your world, that you're somehow violating their free will. And this is a very important disclaimer I need to put at the front end of this video because this right here is actually a very strong limitation that does prevent people from attracting people. Okay, is this belief that you're somehow violating that person's free will by making them want you. So, what I want to point out here is that we live in an infinite universe. So, you don't need to be worried about that because everybody that you meet is multifaceted and they are multidimensional. And so every single person that you meet, there are versions of those people, versions of them that like you, versions of them that hate you, versions of them that are indifferent to you. Every single person that you meet could be expressed in an infinite number of ways as to whether or not they like you. So when I talk about here about making someone want you, what I'm really saying is that this is how you get into alignment with the version of the person who does want you. Okay, so any single person out there could want you or not want you. This is really about you getting into alignment with the version of that person that likes you. It's not about changing someone's mind, it's not about forcing someone's hand to be something different than what they are. It's simply about getting yourself in the vibrational stance where this person that you have your eye on is mutually interested in you. Okay. And again, this can be used for all different kinds of relationships, not just romantic, but also friendship, familial, employers, coworkers, etc. Anybody that you want to appreciate you and want to want you, this advice will be helpful. And if you enjoy today's video, real quick, the reason why I'm making this one is that this week I'm going to be putting my magnetic appeal program on sale. And so if you like this particular content and you want to do more of a deep dive, this program is really geared towards romantic relationships, but it is going on sale on Thursday. And if you would like to have updates for this particular program, you can go ahead and click the link. I've gone ahead and put it into the chat. I'm trying to pin it to the top, But Mary, if you would double up and put it in the chat again, I would appreciate it. And then also, if you're interested on Instagram, you can go to the link in my bio because you can get the coupon code for that particular program. It will be 50% off, and it'll be 50% off for just 1 week only. So to get that coupon code, you can click on that link. And this course will not be going on sale for another year. All right. So this is the rock bottom price that you can get it for. And this is really about teaching you how to become a magnet for romantic relationships. All right. So that you can draw in people if you're single, or if you have your eye on someone specific, or even if you're currently in a romantic partnership, but the partner really isn't, responding to you, or the passion has come out of the relationship. This program is a deep dive to show you how to attract people in, get a commitment in the relationship, and for that relationship to flourish and get better and better over time. Okay, so if you like the content in this particular video, consider signing up to get the link, signing up for that link to get the updates for that sale when it goes live. All right. So again, remember, you're not messing with anyone's free will. Okay, this is about aligning with the version of that person who likes you. And yes, again, please make sure that you are putting in your questions, if you've got questions about manifesting, into the chat. Good morning, Carlton, RB, Sherry, Jen, Picket Music, Coffee Not Included, Guillaume, CZ, Eva, Zaya, Uncanny Super, Otis Jones. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, Rosemary, Wellner. Seeing lots of people in here on Instagram. Hello, Juicing Recipes. Pharmacy, how long will this be? My lives are usually about an hour, but you can stay as long as you like. I'll be going through the points throughout the period of time and stopping to answer some questions. All right, so let's answer a question real quick before I jump in with the rest of our content for our video here. RB, if your female intuition is telling you this person is not right for you, should you ignore it and manifest the position parts? Ignore it and manifest the position parts? I'm not sure what that means. But if your intuition is telling you the person is not right for you, that means that you're currently in alignment with a version of that person you don't like. Okay. So you have options. One, you can listen to your intuition and just decide to go work on somebody different. Sometimes that's the easiest way. Two, you can recalibrate your expectations about that person. Okay. And so this is really about getting into alignment with the version of the person who isn't toxic or who isn't bad for you. That can be done as well. That being said, if you are attracted to someone who's highly toxic and makes you feel terrible and like garbage all the time, my recommendation would be just to scrap them and use this magic to get someone better. Okay. Because it's always easier to start with a clean slate than try to clean up a mess that already exists. Hope that's helpful. Coffee Not Included asks, a friend says his thoughts manifest, but his emotions don't. I wonder how he can do that. Are thoughts alone enough to manifest? Or should we add emotion to thoughts to accelerate the manifestation? Great question. Emotions. Well, it depends on what we mean by emotion. So you will find that when you are in a good emotional state, you will attract things that make you feel good, but they may not necessarily be exactly what you're thinking about in the moment. Okay, so when we manifest from emotion, when we're just in a high vibrational state, we will start to line up with things that reinforce that positive mental state. Your mind, the things that you actually think about, will help you manifest more specifically. So I'm thinking that's what your friend is kind of driving at. If I'm just happy, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get what I want. I have to actually kind of think and focus on the thing that I want. Thinking about the thing that you want is important. Okay, it is important. But what I would say is you don't want to overthink it. You don't want to overthink it because when we overthink our desires, a lot of times we become attached. And when we become attached, then we start pushing them away. Trying to add emotion to thoughts to accelerate the manifestation, I don't recommend. I always recommend kind of separating those two things. Think about the thing that you want and focus on being in a positive state. But there's kind of this conundrum that occurs when people try to put those two things together, where they try to visualize and get a positive feeling from it. If they don't get the positive feeling, they often get frustrated. So my recommendation is to do both of those things, but do them independently. Don't require them to go together. That'll make it easier for you to get the best vision and to focus on emotion without making the two contingent on each other. When we try to make the two of them work with each other, sometimes we get frustrated. I hope that's helpful. All right, keep asking me your questions in the chat. I'm going to answer as many of those as I can. And again, today's topic is make them want you. Make them want you. And we started with a disclaimer that, again, you're not messing with anyone's free will here. These are simply tips that are going to allow you to align with the version of that person that is attracted to you, whether it is romantic or a friendship or a coworker, whomever you want to be attracted to you, you want them to want you, you want them around, okay? You want to be charismatic towards them. These are the things you want to do. All right, so here's the first major point. And this is something that's so simple, but a lot of people get it wrong, like get it real wrong. And I love observing human behavior when I'm out and about. And I see people getting this wrong all the time. So get it right. Get this right. All right. So when you're trying to attract the attention of somebody, when you want to line up with the version of that person that wants you and wants to chase you, wants to be around you, you really need to focus on what you like about that person, what you like about that person. And you also want to really generate that to the point where your body language also corresponds with those thoughts. So frequently when we meet people, we can be very guarded. We don't want to show our hand. And in fact, this is the one thing that I often see people getting screwed up with is that they don't want the other person to know that they like them. So they're often very guarded with these thoughts, or they try to hide them. They try to push them down. They try to act like they don't like the other person. And this can very much backfire. You really want to be shining a message out into the universe that I like this person. I like this person. I like this person for a couple of reasons. The first one is that if you're shining the light that you like this person, then through the law of attraction, that's going to be mirrored back to you and that person's going to like you back. Okay? So that's the main thing that most people would want to understand is that if you put out I like you, they're going to mirror back to you that they like you back. The other thing that's very important is that if we're not focused on the things that we like about the person and instead we're kind of offering a mixed bag of emotions, then the version of the person we're going to get back is a mixed bag. And so there was a question that kind of came up earlier, intuition that a person is not right for you. Okay. If we are not really careful at the onset of an interaction to really be focused on what we like about people, we may start focusing on things like their flaws, what's wrong with them, do they have an ulterior agenda? Are they going to use me? Are you can start putting that out. And so what will very commonly happen is that if you're offering kind of this mixed bag of I like this person but I don't quite trust them, I like this person but what's wrong with them, I like this person but what are their flaws, you may very well attract a person back that is not very good for you. Okay, and so this is a very important thing to understand. We attract the type of person that comes into our life. And one of the very main ways that we do this is by how are we choosing to focus on them? It's very common for people to focus on flaws. I don't like this about him. I don't like this about her. And then what happens is that through the law of attraction, we start to attract more flaws from that person. So, particularly at the start of the relationship, you want to be really keen to focus on what you like about that person. Now, if this is an established relationship, you already may have a mixed bag. And if that's the case, what I really do recommend is that you kind of pump the brakes a little bit, get a little bit of space. I don't mean that you have to ghost them or take off forever, but get some space from that person so that you can allow some of that to die down and then start again, focusing again on what do I like about them? What do I like about them? So that you can match up with a person that likes you and that the energy is really, really clean. Okay. Again, a lot of people are going around the route of, either hiding their feelings or focusing and looking for flaws, which will attract you to a person that's not really good for you, or it will push them away. Okay, so it's a very important thing to understand. And like I mentioned also, you don't only want to be thinking this stuff, but you also want to be putting it out there, putting it out there. So what I mean by that is, make sure that you're expressing your interest in people. Okay, so giving them eye contact, smiling at them, okay, laughing, connecting with them, okay, through your body language is very important. Again, a lot of times people want to hide this stuff. They don't want anyone to see, oh, what if he knows that I like him? Okay. Well, that's a problem because you want that message to go out there. This is something I see a lot of people screwing up with is that they don't want to make eye contact or they want to shy away. And that will prevent you from getting that really strong magnetism. Okay. So, quick little, suggestions for this. Eye contact can be kind of hard for people, but it's one of the more powerful ways to connect with people. A couple of really great tips are when you are interested in somebody and you want to make eye contact with them, make it your goal to observe the color of their eyes. Okay, so when you look at them, try to figure out what the color of their eyes is because that'll get you to lock in with their eyes really carefully. Whereas if you're not looking for the color of their eyes, you might look around them rather than directly in their eye. Another really great suggestion is to focus on one eye rather than both. So pick a specific eye. I'm going to look at the left eye or the right eye. You can toggle between, but that will allow you to really laser in and focus in with eye contact. That's really important. So I know people struggle with that one, so I wanted to put that in. Oh, I see we got another super chat here from Peace. Thank you so much. Lovely direction. I have a question in the other direction. Well, what is your question, Peace? If you wanna drop it into the chat, just make note of it. I'll see if I can see it and come back to it. Yes, guys, if you've got questions, please go ahead and drop them into the chat. What's your first, super chat too? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. CH says, "Good morning, Andrea. I've been feeling very antsy lately, feeling like I should do something, but I have no idea what that something is. How can I find clarity and or peace?" Oh, that's an annoying feeling, isn't it? Feel like I'm supposed to do something. Okay. Well, sometimes when you get that feeling, there's this idea that there's something big you're supposed to be doing. So instead, if I ever get that feeling, I try to focus on smaller stuff. Smaller stuff. What's something small that I could do right now? Again, when there's this idea that it's something big, we can often get into resistance. "Oh, I'm supposed to be launching a business. I'm supposed to be moving in this big direction." But really, that feeling, in my opinion, in my experience, is really just that perhaps you've gotten kind of stagnant in the moment. You kind of gotten stuck where you're at, which is very common because through the law of attraction, what we do builds momentum. So if you, over time, we tend to lock into habits, repetitive behaviors, repetitive actions. And particularly if you're taking it easy, that can become very repetitive. So just finding something new, small to do, some small projects, and just go through and try and knock a few off the list just to kind of get your energy up and moving. That's very simple for just kind of shifting into an energy that's a little bit more productive. And not that you need to be productive, but just the energy is moving at a faster clip, feels a little bit more exciting. Okay, so if you're having that feeling, just jot down maybe on a notepad some small things that you could do that could get you up and moving. Some different stuff, maybe some little projects around the house or trying something you've always wanted to try, even going shopping online. It could be something very simple and trivial, but something that maybe you've been putting off or you've thought about doing, some small stuff just to get that energy clipping and moving. And again, the law of attraction builds on momentum. So as you focus on doing, that starts to build, 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 and then you'll find yourself doing more and more exciting things. It's a great way to take stagnant energy and get it moving in a direction that's more pleasant feeling. All right, on Instagram. I did the manifestation test and I saw the drums after 25 days. How can I make my manifestation faster? Don't look for it. Don't look for it. So, a lot of people take that test. If you haven't taken that test yet, by the way, please make sure that you do. It's my manifesting test. It's a free 5-minute test where you can put something out and watch it come back. And usually people will get results within 48 hours. Although sometimes we have a situation like this where the person attempts to manifest and they get it, but it takes them a while. Okay. Mary, if you go ahead and drop the link to that test into the chat. Oh, she already did. Thank you so much, Mary. And if you're on Instagram, you can go to manifestingtest.com. Manifestingtest.com. The link for that one's also in my bio. All right. But if it takes you a while, so for those of you who haven't taken the test yet, and also for the question asker here, when you take the test, take it and forget it. Take it and forget it. A lot of times what happens is people look for it. So they put it out, but then they're look, did it come? Did it come? Did it come? Did it come? And if we're looking for it, the message that we're putting out is it's not here. Or I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. And then what will happen is that you'll enter into a waiting period. Okay. So what you want to do with this test and also with anything that you want to manifest, you really want to just kind of put it out there and then move on. Because when you move on, you put out a message that says, all right, I'm not waiting for this. It's already done. I'm good. I'm good as I am. It's all taken care of. I don't need to worry about it. See, the things that you know that are going to show up, you don't worry about. Like, like if you're in a very secure relationship, for instance, okay, so like I've been married for a long time. I know my husband's coming home each night. So I'm not worried about him. Okay. I'm not looking for him. I'm not chasing him down on Life 360. Like he's going to come home. I'm not worried about it. So he shows up. Okay. So you want to have that kind of an attitude with the things that you want to manifest. So when you take that test, if you haven't taken it yet, fun test, but just take it and forget about it because what will happen is you'll be surprised. You'll just be surprised when it happens. What I'm guessing happened with you is that you were looking, 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 and then you kind of forgot about it because you got tired of waiting for it. And when you got tired of looking for it and forgot about it, that's when it showed up. Okay. So just some suggestions there. We got a few more super chats here. Thank you so much, Snow Sparkle. That's very sweet. Thank you. Selene, is it Selene? I hope I'm saying your name right. 90. I want to completely transform my marriage. How can I manifest a reality where my husband and I are a team and we both feel secure in the marriage? Let's see if this lines up with my next point because I think it might. Yeah, it does. Good timing. Lines up with my next point here. Okay, so when you're in a partnership or when you're trying to create a partnership, it's really important to understand that you want to be focused on we, okay? So what I mean by that is like within a marriage specifically, or if you're in a longer term relationship, what often happens is that we get away from the idea of being a team and we become a little bit more focused on I rather than we. I want this, he wants that. I always do this, he always does that. And so, what we really want to focus on, if we want to have really great partnerships, okay, if we want to manifest good partnerships in relationships or business partnerships, friendships, we is a very important word that you want to focus on and drive in on. So, what do we have in common? What do we like doing together? How are we on the same path? Okay. When you're asking me about how to become a team, that's what we're really focused on is that the vibration that we're putting out is that we are a unit, we are a team, we work together rather than we're two ships passing in the night. I go here, he goes there, we. Okay. So as much as you can, you want to be focused on that concept of what do the two of you have in common. So that's the gap that you really want to bridge. And so I'd be thinking about that pretty commonly. Just, maybe in the morning, throughout the day, what do we have in common? How are we working together? How do we work well together? You know, how are we similar? That's another good one. How are we similar? That's what you want to be focused on with you and your husband. Oh, let me stop sharing that. There we go. So we is very important. Again, this often happens once a relationship evolves. Once you get past that honeymoon stage with people, once you've already attracted them in, you can lose attraction because you fail to focus on connectivity. Okay, so focusing on connectivity is another aspect of making somebody want you, making them attracted to you, is to put out the message that it's a we, it's a team. If you're in a group of friends, it's really great to look at you as being in a squad, in a team, in a group, rather than it's me and them, or I'm separate from them. They're not calling me, and isolating yourself out from that team element. Okay, so be mindful of that. The more you focus on the connectivity aspect, what you have in common, how you work together, what you do together, the more your partner is going to merge with you and work together with you in a more secure fashion. Great question. Yeah, and again, guys, when you have questions, feel free to go ahead and drop those into the chat. Again, today we're talking about how to make them want you with the law of attraction. And again, sometimes people worry that, what we're doing with that is we're working against someone's free will, but you're not. This isn't about changing somebody, it's about you aligning with the version of the person who wants you. Okay, so if I'm putting out a message that we're separate, I'm going to align with the version of my husband who's separate from me. But if I'm putting out the message that we're a team, we work together, then that husband's going to come closer to me. Okay. So it's not about manipulating anyone's free will. And if you have not yet, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to me on YouTube and also follow me on Instagram. I do these lives every single week. So make sure to join along for the ride. How about abusive relationships? What is your advice here? Get out. Get out. It could be harder than just jumping out. But ideally, because the advice I gave earlier is really important to understand. If you have attracted a partner who is toxic and abusive to you, it means somewhere down in the past, there was a seed of fear that got going and it built up momentum. And so now we are locked in with a partner who's treating us poorly. If we're by definition calling that relationship abusive, it means that energy's just really gotten out of control. It's really built up a lot of, momentum. And some people might say I'm blaming the victim here, but quite honestly, like if this is the case, this is something that probably stems from trauma way in your past. Like you may have trust issues from way in the past that are still bubbling up to the surface and making you kind of a match where when you go into relationships, you're putting out that fear message. And so you're lining up with people that resonate there. And then the momentum builds and the abuse gets worse and worse and worse. So, like I was mentioning earlier, you can shift anybody, even a toxic person, but the trick is really going to be to get some space. So, the best that you can do in a situation like that is really just to get out and either scrap it for a new person or get out with the intention that, I'm going to take 6 months to a year and get calm and then I will start thinking about positive aspects. Although at that point it's just easier to start with somebody new. When it comes to getting out of toxic relationships, here's some advice. You want to try and find a way to slowly kind of detach. Okay. It would be nice to just hop out the door and leave. Okay. But the problem with abusive relationships is that they're often very addictive. People are literally addicted to the abuse cycle. So, finding ways to gradually pull back and getting more and more space from your abuser is helpful because it will allow that chemical kind of addiction to die down. So, it becomes easier and easier for you to detach. A lot of people stay in abusive relationships when it would be better if they got out, but they're literally addicted to that cycle. So, one of the best ways to break that cycle is just to kind of slowly back away and get more and more time to yourself wherever you can. At some point, it will become much easier for you to just break off, use momentum to your advantage. Christopher Flynn, how do I get a young, successful girlfriend who is independent? It seems like I am above my level for my age. I want to be able to match success. Well, I mean, you focus on what you want. The thing I would say about the word independent is I would change it because you get what you focus on, right? So when we try to attract partners who are independent, well, they're independent. So that means they're over here, I'm over here, right? So a better word is interdependent. That's a what I might try looking at is like, well, she could stand on her own, but she wants to work with somebody. Okay. I might switch that phrasing up a little bit. A successful girlfriend who is interdependent. Okay. So she wants to work with somebody. So somebody who's independent really just wants to be on their own. Interdependent means they could stand on their own, but they can work well as a team with somebody else. So I might try switching that up and using that word and focusing on trying to find somebody who's interdependent and also noticing people who are interdependent, noticing women in particular who are interdependent. In other words, they're successful, they can handle it, but they work well in a team or they like having people around. There's a good chance that that independent thing is kind of pushing it away. I'm independent, she's independent, so we don't really need each other. Instead, we want to find interdependence. Do you think we should not watch the news? It makes me worried. But is there any benefit to keeping up with current events when the conversation with people outside the law of attraction community? No. If you can, you want to watch the news. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. And one thing I have noticed is that if it's really big news, they're going to tell you anyway. So there are certain things like that still come through. Like if there's something I really need to know, like I live in Florida, we have hurricanes. So, it's good to know when a hurricane's coming. Let me tell you something. I don't need to watch the news. Like someone's going to tell me. Okay. So I personally don't see a benefit simply because at least the news that I see when I do encounter it is usually very shock and awe and fearful. And so you really become a match to what you're focused on. And particularly the thing about the news, I don't think a lot of people focus on this is that with the news what we're saying is this is real. This is real life. If you watch something like a scary movie, the belief is, "Oh, this is fiction. This is kind of for fun. This didn't actually happen." But when you watch the news, what you're reinforcing is this is real. This is reality. This is how terrible it really is. So for me, I think it's better to just keep your nose out of it. Although good luck with that because it's everywhere, right? I try to keep my nose out of it. Great question. All right. Again, today we're talking about how to make them want you with the law of attraction. And if you've got questions, please go ahead and drop them into the chat. Again, you can use these tips to attract in anybody, not just romantic partners, although that's the obvious way to do it, but also to attract in friends, to attract in business partners, anybody that you want to want you in some capacity. These are important things to understand. Again, remember, you're not messing with anyone's free will. This is about aligning with the version of that person that wants you. Also, you want to focus on liking the other person and making that obvious. Don't try to hide that you like somebody and also focus on the things that you like about the person. When you say, I like you get I like you back. But when you focus on flaws, you're going to attract more flaws, or you may literally push that person away. And when you try to hide your feelings, well, now you're going to maybe attract someone who's hiding their feelings from you too. Okay. So we do want to make sure that we're putting out that message. You don't need to be creepy about it, but letting it be known. Eye contact is good, smiling is good. All right. These are all good things to be doing. All right. Also, focusing on the we. We. When you focus on the concept of we, you bring someone in. We means team. We attracts a partner. Okay. Try to avoid focusing on me versus them. Rather, as much as possible, we. All right, here's the next piece of advice. This when I was researching, I made this course a little while back, the magnetic appeal program that I was talking about that's going on sale this week. Again, if you're interested in learning more about how to attract a romantic partner or maintain passion, That program is going to be going on sale. You can check that one out at the link either on my bio on Instagram or at the top of the chat in YouTube. But when I was researching this, I was curious to just kind of go out and see what kind of advice is out there. There's some bad advice out there. There's some bad advice out there, okay? If you're scrolling around looking for advice on how to attract people, the biggest thing I would say is that a lot of the advice is really centered on the idea of playing games, playing games. And so you have to understand with the law of attraction, this is so important, is that you're going to get back what you put out. You're going to get out back what you put out. And so, like I've been saying, this isn't about manipulating people. Okay. It's about aligning with the version of the person that likes you. So much of the content that's out there is really about genuinely trying to manipulate people and trying to play games. And so, what ends up happening is that you attract, again, people who play games. And so, this has to be in this video. This is so important. You don't want to chase. Everyone says that you don't want to chase. Okay. And it's true. You don't want to be chasing people because when you're chasing people, the message that you put out is they're running away. Okay. So, not chasing people can have a very positive effect on making people come towards you. But here's where the bad advice comes in is that there are so many people out there telling you to avoid or to hide or to go no contact or to ghost. Okay. And doing those kinds of things for the purpose of trying to get someone to chase you is gameplay. And what will end up happening to you if you play those kinds of games is that you may get that person to chase you, but then they're going to ghost you and then you got to chase them, or there's going to be some kind of circular nature where there's this never ending game of cat and mouse that gets going. And I see this very, very frequently when people will write me questions about manifesting specific people is that they have this going on, where it's an on and off relationship or it almost gets off the ground and it doesn't. Well, there's a lot of gameplay that's going on. And so you want to be mindful about this. No, you don't want to chase, but you also don't want to avoid. Okay. So what this means is you don't want to become obsessive where you're running after someone constantly looking for them. Because I answered a question earlier about that when you're with the manifesting test, when you're waiting, 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 looking, you push away. That's true. That's a form of chasing. But actively trying to hide will have that behavior mirrored back to you as well. So that's something you don't want to do. You don't want to chase, but you also don't want to avoid. When you get attention from the person that you like, or when you have a moment with that person, or when the text comes in, acknowledge it, welcome it, affirm it, appreciate it. Okay. Don't block it. All right. Because that's going to create gameplay within the relationships. I hope that this is helpful advice. It really should be. Because if you've been in the habit of trying to make the person chase you, again, you may get them to chase you temporarily, but what's going to happen is you're going to get sucked into this game of cat and mouse where they're back and forth, and you don't want that. Okay. So instead, don't chase. When they show up, show them appreciation. Be pleasant, be happy, be excited to see them. When they're not there, don't chase them. Okay. But you can still call and text and whatever, but don't chase, don't avoid. Hope that is helpful. Okay, peace. I got your question. Okay, peace. I've been stalked by someone for many years. Because of this, I also avoid going to my favorite part of the forest. He is everywhere. I've tried many techniques. He disgusts me and pressures me with his presence. Do you have any tips for me? Yes. Okay, so if you have experience with people who are stalking you, or you just want people you want to go away, okay? If you have somebody you want to go away, you really have to do your best. This is where no contact works. Okay. So, really, if we're going to talk about no contact is not a game to make someone come back. No contact is, I want this person gone. Because here's the thing you need to understand is that, again, with the law of attraction, what you put out, you're going to get back. So, what we want to do with people we don't like, or we don't want to deal with, or we just want them to be gone, is we want to find a way to shut our consciousness off from them so that we're no longer focused on them and then they will go away. Now, with a stalker, it can be tricky because it's really ramped up where you're feeling their presence all the time. You're feeling very paranoid. Are they going to show up? Are they going to show up? Are they going to show up? So you want to try as best as you can to detach from that idea or that memory of that person. What I would recommend in a situation like this is to change up your daily routine. Why this is that if you're dealing with thoughts like this that you can't seem to get rid of, what's going on is that they're being triggered. Okay, so at this time of day, I usually saw him. So now every time that time of day, I think about him. Every time I walk into the forest, I think about him. And so my mind is staying drawn onto that person. And then that person stays anchored into my reality because I'm continually focusing on them. So if you can change your routine, what you can do is you can change the focus so that the mind doesn't automatically think those thoughts. Okay, so the example I always like to give is like taking routes to work in the morning. So let's say there's two ways that you can go to work, and you always go route A. Okay, but you're always thinking about this guy on route A. Well, if you take route B instead of route A, what's going to happen is that because it's a new route, your mind is going to have to think differently. It's going to have new stimulus coming at it. And it's not going to automatically go to those same thoughts that you thought every time you saw that billboard or every time you passed that grocery store. It's a different route. And so the triggers are going to be different. It's going to be easier for you to get off the subject. So try doing that. All right. If you love going to the forest, try going to different parts of the forest or coming in it from a different way, different time of day, but finding a way to do it differently so the mind doesn't automatically default on the last time you saw your stalker. Okay, the more of those things that you can do, the easier it's going to be to get your mind off the subject, and then you will literally see that he gets further and further away. Okay, so now maybe you're only seeing him once a week or once every 2 weeks, or he just gradually falls out of place, and I've actually used that technique to get rid of stalkers myself. So it works. So do it. Good luck. Michelle Williamson, can the we language work when you're single and trying to manifest your person? Yes, yes, yes. So if there's a person, you're single, what I would be doing is when you find people that are interested, focus on what we have in common. Okay. We both have brown hair. We both live in the same community. We both work at the same office. Any kind of we will bring you more in contact with that person. If you're on a date, we are having a good time. We are enjoying dinner. We like going to the movies, focusing on that concept. Okay. That's what I would recommend. Crystal Rose, what if you want to get someone out of your life, but it's not that simple with kids involved? Yeah. So that one's going to have to be a shifting experience then. Okay? I mean, it doesn't have to be, but I mean, you could manifest a reality where they drop off the face of the earth. That's possible. But usually when somebody says that, they want the ex to be around because the kids are there. I want them around in that capacity, but I don't really want to deal with the headache. Okay? That's what I'm hearing there. So with that one, you want to do some shifting. So with that one, instead of trying to just get them entirely out, you want to try and get some space. So that last technique I talked about with the stalker, you can use that to get some space from the ex or from the person. Try to get as much space as you can where you're only dealing with them when you have to for the kids. Once the anxiety has started to come out of the situation, which it will if you're having less and less contact, and you're starting to feel more neutral about that person, at that point, you want to start focusing on their positive qualities. But wait until you feel neutral. Okay. Once you feel kind of neutral about the person, like they've faded out enough that it's not really bugging you anymore, you take some time to get maybe in a positive state of mind, feeling good, and then just reflect. Okay, well, how is my ex a good person? What good things has he done? What redeeming qualities does he have? And then make it your focus to just put some emphasis on that little bit each day. And what you'll notice is as you do that, the few interactions that you're having with that person become increasingly more positive. And when you see that, the next step is to congratulate yourselves on shifting them. Look at that. I aligned with the better version of my ex. Look at that. I aligned with the better version of my ex, so that you're putting that message out that we're getting better. This is getting better. This is getting better. Those things can be shifted. They can. But if you want to keep someone in your life, then the shifting route is what has to be done. You can't just get rid of them because you want to keep them there. Okay. But again, withdraw, get neutral, and then focus on the positive qualities and allow those to blossom. Megan asks on Instagram, I had an attraction to someone for a while. I'm trying to detach and focus on me, but I'm having a hard time switching back to me. I keep focusing on the issues that arise. Suggestion. I love how you guys are asking questions that, go right with my bullet points here. Such a great question because I was just going to talk about this. Okay, so our next point here, when you want to make someone want you, okay, it's a very important thing to understand is that your attention when that person is not around stays on you as much as possible. When the person is not around, keep the attention on you as much as possible. So I'm not saying that you can't ever think about the person. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not, if you get a thought that you want to call them or text them and that feels inspired, then you go ahead and do that. Okay. But the majority of your time, when you're not texting, calling, or with that person, your attention should be on you. Very important. Okay. What happens very frequently when people start to develop interest is now all of the focus goes on to the other person. And so now in your mind, you're like leaving your body, you're leaving your life. And what are they doing? What are they thinking? When are they going to call? Okay. Now, what this does is it actually separates you from yourself. So instead of focusing on me, my vibration, I'm living my best life, I love myself, life is good. Now I'm worried about what's he doing? What's she doing? When are they showing up? Okay? My attention has gone out of myself onto the other person. Now, the problem with this in terms of attraction is that in order for you to attract attention, you need to have attention on you. Okay? My attention is on me, then the outside world is going to show me attention. When I'm focused on me, the world's going to show me attention. The person I like is going to show me attention. When my focus is outside of myself, now all of the attention is going in that direction on the other person and it's not coming towards me. So I'm magnetizing myself to that other person and I'm creating a dynamic where they start to run away. Okay. So, what you want to train yourself to do as much as you can is you want to dial back in to yourself. Okay. So, it looks like you kind of understand this, but what I would recommend is new for this particular thing, new hobbies, new interests are really great. So, reading a new book, getting into a new podcast, watching a new Netflix series. I mean, it could be that trivial and stupid, but the thing is, what's something I would enjoy doing, I'm going to go do to put the attention back on me and my joy. Again, what happens with the law of attraction is we get stuck in momentum. So we tend to get on a hamster wheel where we attract the same things, the same habits, the same experiences. Day to day looks the same. And so if that's what's going on, but I've started in my day to day to focus on this person, focus on this person, focus on this person, then that just becomes how I'm running my entire life. It's the focus is just outside of me all the time. So to drive it back to yourself, pick a couple of things, new things that would be just for you, fun for you. Again, the attention will get pulled back into the fun moment and you won't just automatically be putting your mind outside of yourself on the other person. Okay, that's my top suggestion for that. Give yourself permission to take a class, watch a new video, podcast, something of that nature that you're interested in, and then allow that to build momentum. Okay, so once you do one of those, then you do another, then you do another, and the next thing you know, you're really going to be focused in on yourself again. All right, very important. Glad that you brought that up. EA, can you make them want you after years of contact? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Depends on what kind of relationship you're talking about. I don't know if you're talking about like you're in contact right now or you haven't been in contact, but the same rules apply. Focus on the we. Don't chase, don't avoid. Welcome the attention when it comes. Keep attention on you. Like them. Focus on liking them so they like you back. All right, Gem. How do we get past this stage in the relationship? We started as we, but now it's just a lot of finger pointing. Okay, so a very helpful thing within relationships, don't rely on the other person to change. That's important. So when I see finger pointing, I'm finger pointing, so you're taking responsibility. I love that. He or she is finger pointing. Whatever they're doing, don't wait for them to change. So this often gets in the way. A lot of times we think that the partner is doing things to us. And they are. I mean, they're saying the things, they are doing the things, but you have to remember, I'm aligning with the version of the person that's doing this. So you don't need to wait for them to stop finger pointing. You just need to stop finger pointing, and then they'll mirror that. Okay, so that takes a lot of the work off of your plate. And I think this is the thing that most interferes with people maintaining that blossoming relationship is they start to think that that person is operating in their own free will against you. That's not the case. That person is operating in their free will. You're operating in your free will, but you're intersecting where you align at. So you don't ever need to change what they think, how they behave, what their perspective is. You don't need to do any of that. Okay. Very helpful thing to understand. If you think you need to convince the partner to change, now you're going to get stuck in a power struggle with them. Okay. Because the energy is, I need to control them. That's a whole other dynamic. Don't worry about changing them. Okay. How do I make my how do I make my boyfriend propose? Okay, so you got to align with the version of him that does. That's the first thing to understand. I think standards are helpful in this. Let that be known that that's your expectation. That's something I talk about in the magnetic appeal program quite a bit. Boundaries and standards, which are important. Boundaries and standards basically mean this is what I need, period, and I stand by it, period. And we don't want to be controlling and have a bunch of rules and be trying to dictate to people how to behave. That's not what this is about, but it's rather about saying, this is my expectation and I'm sticking to it. So I don't know how long you've been with your boyfriend, but I would put that out there. This has been a long time. Okay, this is what I need by such and such time. If it works out, great. If not, I'm willing to walk. And then if it doesn't work, be willing to walk. Now, I'm saying this because a lot of times people will be afraid that, okay, well, I give them an ultimatum and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but the real thing isn't about making them do anything. It's about aligning again with the version of the person that's going to do what works for you. Okay, so if you have a standard and you're willing to walk and you actually walk, the message that you say to the universe is, I expect to be in a relationship where that's the level of commitment, period. I'm not hanging around for something else. I'm just not going to do that. I'm only sticking around a lot, maybe forever. I don't know. But a lot of lowered standards, sticking around for things that they don't want, putting up with stuff that they don't want. And then what happens is you continue to attract what you don't want. So boyfriend dragging his feet. Okay. Now you don't need to be a jerk about this. Don't be demanding and cruel and mean. No, but this is, hey, we've been dating for this long. I'm looking for a relationship that ends up with marriage. That's what I'm looking for by this time. If that works out, great. If not, it's fine. No problem. We're moving on. To handle it like that. And then if and when he doesn't, be willing to walk away and don't be worried about it. Because what will probably happen is if you walk away, he's going to show up with a ring, or some other guy is going to pop out of the bushes who's 10 times better than him with a ring. Okay, because you said these are my standards, and the universe is going to match you with what your standards are. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask for what you want. I told my husband I want to get married. I want to get married, and I'm not moving in with you until we do. He proposed. Any tips on how to stay grounded, calm when you know you're about to see your specific person for the first time out after being out of contact for a very long time? That's a really great question because a lot of times we have those squirrely thoughts. If it hasn't worked out with somebody, there's usually that squirrely energy, right? And so it's easy to immediately default into maybe some more anxious, stressful energy. I might be focusing on ideas of how our interactions calm. How does this person put me at ease? How do we keep each other calm? How do we have a relaxing time together? I might be dwelling on those kinds of memories, those kinds of thoughts. And I would also, before I go to said interaction, I would be spending some time getting calm, maybe doing some meditation. If this is some great advice for any area of life. Like whenever I'm going somewhere, like if I'm traveling, let's say I've got to get to the airport, it's a busy day and it's gonna be stressful. I always put on like a playlist that has like that really relaxing, soothing, like spa music or like smooth jazz or just something really, really zen. Okay. Because what that does is it kind of takes you out of frenzied mode and puts you into like zen mode. So that when you walk into the interaction, you're starting in a zen state. Okay. That's what I would recommend. Really work with that energy. But between here and there, if and when thoughts of that person come up, I would be thinking about the calmer moments or the relaxing moments or the time where you put each other at ease to amplify that energy. Kelly, dating someone new, but he has lots of other women. I don't know that I stand out enough to keep his attention. How can I compete with them to keep him focused on me? Don't compete. Don't compete. The way I would look at an interaction like that is, well, they're all competing with him, so I'm not gonna compete, and therefore I do stand out. You actually do see this a lot with people. It's like the girl that doesn't try. Okay, let's say that a guy is at a bar and there's a group of women and they're all clamoring over him. Okay, the one that actually gets up and walks away is probably the one he's going to be most interested in. Okay, because she's kind of setting the standard. I'm not going to compete. I'm good enough as I am. That's the best thing I would recommend. I don't need to compete. Don't try to keep them focused on you. Focus on yourself. Again, remember that point we made earlier about attention has to be on me. So all of those women, if they're actually competing, what they're doing is they're putting all of their focus on him, which actually will cause him to want to depart. But if you're sitting there putting the focus on me, on me, on me, on me, you're going to attract the attention to you. That's how that dynamic plays out. I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people get stuck in that one. Well, everybody else is trying to get his attention. What should I do? Don't do any of that. Focus on yourself more. Okay, that's how you compete. Jean Jung, there's some kind of static when I speak. Well, I'm sorry. Uh-oh. Is the sound still buggy? That's too bad. All right, let me answer another question here. Can you guys hear? Is it better? Let me know if you can still hear on Instagram and YouTube. Ooh, on Instagram. How about a husband who's taking you for granted? Ooh, that's a good question. Um, stop giving so much. A lot of times when someone takes you for granted, what's going on is that you're giving, giving, giving. Oh, I'm glad this sounds better. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for letting me know. When somebody starts taking you for granted and you're having that experience, what's going on is you're often trying to please and giving lots of yourself. And so the dynamic that ends up happening is I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel appreciated for everything that I'm doing. So what you want to do in situations like that is do less, do less, be surprised. I actually used to do a lot more in my marriage. I don't do much anymore. And that was because of the law of attraction, because I learned that through the law of attraction, you really want to focus on what makes you happy and not overwhelming yourself and burdening yourself with stuff you don't want to be doing. And so I naturally started to do less and less stuff that I didn't want to do. So I started outsourcing more stuff. I don't do as much cleaning. I don't cook anymore. There's a lot of stuff that I just don't do anymore. And an interesting thing about that I've noticed is that as I've done less, now I'm noticing that my family appreciates me more. My husband appreciates me more. And I don't do nearly as much for him as I used to. Like early in our marriage, I did a lot and we had a lot more friction. Now I'm phoning it in most of the time. So don't overgive. I'm not saying that you have to do nothing, but if there are things that you feel like you're giving that aren't being appreciated, stop doing those things. And you'll notice that your husband will start to appreciate you more. And yes, guys, again, do remember that program for magnetic appeal is going on sale this week. If you enjoyed today's live and you want to learn more about how to attract a romantic relationship or to improve your current romantic relationship, the link for that one is at the top of the YouTube chat. Again, it will be on sale this week for 50% off. It will not be on sale again for at least a year. So if you're interested, go ahead and click the link for updates and that coupon code. If you're on Instagram, that link is in the bio. Also, I have another program that I'm working on currently, and this program will be ready next month in October. That program is called Relax and Detach. And so this program is for people who have really gotten attached on something. So maybe you're having a hard time letting go of a particular dream. And maybe there's something you've been working on for weeks or months or even years and it still hasn't manifested. This program is going to show you how to become a master of detachment so you can let go with ease and allow the things that you want to show up. It's also going to show you how to avoid getting attached in the first place so that as you move forward and you want to manifest more things, you can avoid the whole attachment cycle altogether. This is something that you can absolutely do. And so that program is called Relax and Detach. It will be going live next month. And if you'd like updates on that one, as well as a 50% off coupon code for that one when it goes live, click the link for that button. I will click the link for that program. Again, that one's in the YouTube chat. Mary just dropped it there. And again, you can find that one at the link tree in my bio. Okay, so you can check that one out on Instagram, link tree in my bio. I do plan on coming back for another live in a few days. I should be live on Thursday this coming week. So if you're interested, make sure to join me again. I will be here about the same time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, although I'll be on Facebook on Thursday, not on Instagram. So if you are on Instagram, you can join me either on YouTube or on Facebook. All right, guys. But thank you so much for joining in. I'm glad we ended with the sound good. Thanks for letting me know. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Okay. Bye bye.